Good morning, Pleasant Hill School families and students. I hope you're all doing well today on this wonderful Monday morning, even though it is a little blustery and windy outside. I hope nobody blew away and that nobody's personal property blew away too much last night. I knew this morning we were running outside picking up garbage and our garbage cans that kind of got a little loose last week. So hopefully everyone's stuff is safe. So today I'm going to be updating everybody on our painted lady butterflies. There is some information and updates to share with regards to the rockin' robins we have in our backyard under our deck with their four robin eggs we have, but I'm not going to share that today on this video. That'll be a separate video that I'll hopefully share tomorrow, just because there is about a week's worth of growth and progress from our painted lady butterflies that I want to get through today. So I want to make sure that we're all up to date. So let's get right into it. So first thing I'm going to do is pop up on the screen right here in front of me is a picture of the butterfly life cycle. So at the very top of it, we see a picture of a butterfly. And that's because that represents the parent of the mother or father butterfly. So they are there at the beginning. And then the next step is an egg. So we need an adult butterfly to lay an egg. Now, further down there, we see a picture of a caterpillar. So the egg has hatched, and out of the egg has come a baby caterpillar. And for the next week or so, their job is going to be eating. Now, when we move over a little bit to the fourth spot is finally chrysalis. So a chrysalis is the pod that the caterpillar builds with their bodies to help them go through what we call a metamorphosis. So that's like a big change. So they're changing their bodies completely. They're going from like a tiny worm-like, centipede-like little creature into an insect with large, beautiful, colorful wings and a slender body and long antennas. So that metamorphosis has to take place in a safe, contained space. And their body goes through some major changes. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, what goes on inside that chrysalis in the next little bit. So just wanted to make sure I threw that life cycle up there. So those are pretty much the four main stages of any butterfly's life cycle. Starts with a butterfly, egg, caterpillar, chrysalis, and it goes around, and around. That is part of the circle of life and the life cycle of the butterfly. So I'm glad we just took a second to talk about that. So we didn't get the chance to see our painted lady caterpillars in the egg stage of their life cycle. When they came to us, they were a little bit older. They come from Alberta and British Columbia most of the time. And so when this container was brought to us, they were a little bit on the older side. So probably a few days old, or I'm not sure exactly. Probably maybe about 3 or 4 days old, I think. And they had hatched out of their eggs. Then they usually eat their eggs, and then they begin eating the other food in the container. Okay, so let's now catch up on where we were last week. So they came to us. You guys saw them last week. That was pictures from last Sunday. And now I'm going to share you some pictures from you guys from, I believe these are from the following Tuesday. So this is last Tuesday. So 6 days ago. Here we go. There's a lot of silk threading and webbing going on in there. Again, we talked about that last week. The caterpillars like to spin a lot of those tiny little webs. It helps them keep safe. It gives them something to climb on. And also when they feel tension or any movement or vibrations on those webbings, they know that they need to be careful and be safe. It also makes them really feel safe or comfortable and at home. So you can see our caterpillars have gotten much larger here. At this point, they were, if I was looking at my tape measure and I was using centimeters, I'd probably say closer to 3 centimeters, 3.5 for some of them, with the exception of that little guy. We'll talk about him in a moment. All right, so here we have inside. Now you can see that little tiny caterpillar. He is just up there in the top corner, not doing too much, not a lot of growing. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 caterpillars. And number 9 is actually on the lid. And we'll take a closer look at him as well. So you can see the droppings are really piling up. There's lots of webbing around the room. They've grown, I'd say, exponentially, which means a lot over the last little while. And you can really see the little holes in their food where they've been just digging out spots and eating. Now, I know you guys all know the book, Eric Carle's The Very Hungry Caterpillar. I'm actually going to share a link today of a cool little Eric Carle video, kind of a cartoon version of that book that you can actually watch and listen to. and hopefully enjoy it. But caterpillars eat, eat, eat. That's pretty much their primary job until they transform into a chrysalis. So here's just a few more close-up pictures. We can really get in there seeing there's lots of little bits of black, which of course we know is their skin breaking away. Now I'm looking at this little caterpillar, and I've been doing some research, and I don't know, he looks like a painted lady, but he does have some spots. So he's got the same kind of textured skin, but I'm not sure what's going on there with him. But he is significantly smaller than his brothers and sisters here. There's that 9th caterpillar hanging out on the top of the paper towel. Now we keep that paper towel in there for a few reasons. One, it gives them something to climb on, and two, when they are going to go into their metamorphosis and they're going to transform into a chrysalis, this paper towel gives them something to cling on. So they will climb up to the top and they will hang up on that paper towel, and it'll allow them enough surface area to kind of hold on, shake their outer skin layer on, and reveal their chrysalis underneath. So here we can take a really close look at him. He is an interesting guy. He's covered in hairs, kind of thorny little pokey things. And of course, those are mostly for his protection. Those are irritants for some insects or some birds and other type of predators that might eat on them. So those little pokey things would be kind of itchy or scratchy or possibly really irritate the mouths of an animal that might try to eat them. So you can see since last week when I last shared with you guys, they've gotten pretty big. Now they continue to munch and munch and munch over the next few days, and they continue to grow, with the exception of that one little caterpillar who doesn't seem to be making much progress. And I'll show you just how small he was in relation to all the other caterpillars in the cup in just a few days after they continued to grow, and he continued to just kind of stay still. Here, take a look at these. Days later, they have grown a lot. You can hardly see the food anymore because the bottom of this container is covered with caterpillar droppings and a large amount of skin pieces. Now remember, every time they grow, their skin doesn't stretch like yours and mine does. So what happens is little pieces of it breaks off and there's new pieces underneath. So sometimes what happens is those chunks will fall off and then fall to the bottom. So there's quite a bit of that in there. They don't shed all their skin every single time they grow. Just where it breaks apart and where they stretch out, that's where the little pieces break off and there's new pieces underneath. So as you can see, they are getting really big. At this point, they are about 4 centimeters, not a little bit over. So that's more than 1.5 inches. So they're just growing. So really trucking along here. And you can see how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we got all 9 in this picture, and they're all about the same size with the exception of our little guy. Again, he has grown since the beginning. He has definitely gone through some changes, but not as much as everybody else. So hopefully he'll continue to do well. Okay, let's keep looking at pictures here. Here's a little close-up. You can see their little legs with their little suction cup things they have on the bottom, and little hairs that allow them to climb so well. And just really getting close here, you can kind of see a little bit more details about them. You can see those little spikes we saw earlier, all their little hairs. You can see their little legs and their little mouths that they have there as well. And just to really focus in on how big of a difference or discrepancy is there between these caterpillars, is there's this you can see this one really well, this nice big long one all the way there. So he is about closer to 4.5, 5 centimeters. This guy probably closer to 5, and this little one here, I'd say he's significantly less. So probably closer to 2 when he's stretched out, which he doesn't actually. I don't really find him stretched out too much. So as you can see, there's been a lot of growing happening. So there you have it. They're getting big, they're getting large, they're eating, and they're ready for this very next step, which we're about to see right now. Let's take a peek. Okay, so here we are. So the other day when we were walking by on Friday, when we were walking by the caterpillars, we noticed that they were all starting to head to the top. And usually from my past experience, that means something cool is about to happen. So here you can see there's not a lot much there going on for food. They've been eating. They're all really big. They've reached about 2 inches, which is about 5 centimeters. So they all got pretty large, and they're heading to the top. Now, some of them are walking around upside down on all their legs, but you can see on this picture, 3 of them are hanging from the very tips of their bottoms, as it were, and they're kind of curled in a little, like almost like a little letter J. So let's take a closer look at what's going on here with them. All right, so here you can see they are hanging upside down, and this is pretty much the telltale sign that they're about to transform. So in nature, if you saw a caterpillar like this, he or she would be ready to transform into a moth or a butterfly. So at this point, what they do is they're hanging upside down. They're using all that stored energy from eating all that food, and they're starting to pull away inside of their body. So what I mean by that is, imagine now that their skin and their legs and all those hairs, everything you see right there, is more like kind of like a sleeping bag or a sock that's covering them. And what they're doing on the inside now is breaking away from that skin, and they're getting ready for enough energy to slide it off. And when they slide it off, they're going to start right at the very tip of their toes, and they're going to have to shake to get it all off, because they need the skin to come off. Otherwise, they can't come out of their chrysalis. They're going to shake all the way till it drops off onto the ground. And what we'll have left under there is our chrysalis, and that is their last transformation. So they don't actually build their chrysalis or cocoon. They don't actually build it on the outside, like sometimes we kind of see in storybooks and stuff like that. The chrysalis actually forms inside of them underneath their skin. And so what they do their last time is they shed their skin and they get ready to transform. So at this point, when these pictures were taken, there was only 3 upside down. Not a lot was happening too much. It looked like the other guys were looking for just some nice spots to hang out and good spots to be. But so far, it looks like they're getting ready for that next big step. Turns out the next step wasn't too far away. That evening, we put our daughter to bed and sat down to watch TV, and we looked over, and that one caterpillar that I was just showing you guys in that last picture hanging upside down, he wasn't a caterpillar anymore. He had already shed all of his skin off and was hanging upside down, bouncing around doing a little dance. And the reason why he was bouncing around doing the dance is they're trying to make sure they get all this skin that's like almost like a sock and this off of them, so it falls off onto the ground. And he was just moving away. They also do it a lot of times if the other caterpillars get too close to them. They'll kind of shake as, I think, as self-defense. I don't know for certain, but I've just noticed that before. So we noticed as the other caterpillars got too close to this little guy, he started really shaking around. So this caterpillar is no longer a caterpillar. They're in the next stage of their life cycle. This caterpillar is now a chrysalis and one step away to becoming a beautiful butterfly. Take a look. Isn't that totally wild? That little guy is ready to move on to the next stage of his life. So in the coming hours and the next morning, the changes continued, and almost all our caterpillars move up to the very top of the cup and start hanging upside down and moving into that chrysalis stage of their life cycle. I'm going to share more images and videos with you guys about that tomorrow, as well as exactly where we are today. And then we're going to talk a little bit more tomorrow about what's happening inside of the chrysalis, what's happening to their bodies, how do they go from caterpillar to chrysalis, and inside that chrysalis grow wings. How does that all happen? I don't have all the answers. We're going to look them up, and I'm going to share what I find with you guys. Also, just a reminder to try to remember, see if you can remember all the different life cycles of a butterfly. Of course, we have the mother butterfly, the first one, and we have the egg, the caterpillar, chrysalis, and butterfly again. So the butterfly, so that's 4 stages altogether. Starts with butterfly, ends with the butterfly. So that's everything for today, you guys. I hope you had a great day. Right after this, I'm going to post a little link to Eric Carl's video, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, because I think it's just an appropriate place to end off today with this awesome change we're seeing here in this little cup. And I know when we see you guys in the fall, there's going to be some big changes with all of you. Though you aren't crawling into a chrysalis or anything, so many of you, we're all home right now, and at your guys' ages, you all grow so fast. So then we know the next time we all, us teachers, get a chance to see you guys, you're going to go through your own little metamorphosis, your own changes, and you're going to be bigger and grown and so much different than we last saw you. So we hope you guys are all doing well. You're taking care of yourselves, and we will see you tomorrow.